Culture podcast with Alaska, Curly Castro, and Zilla Rocca.
Welcome back to Call Out Culture. Cue Castro yelling loud.
Sublime.
There you go. So today we got a couple of guests. We got Cryptic and we got our homie Geng, and we are going to talk about a rapper that we've touched upon quite a bit throughout the history of this podcast. But we're going to talk about Vordul Mega today. We're going to do we need to talk about Vordul Mega. So I guess
Adam's fam is a large destructive amount. I don't know the rest of it.
I am Zilla Rocca, by the way. Hello.
What's the rest part of it? It's Adam's fam is a small destructive amount.
Oh, wait, no. I'm from the Adams fam, and it's the small things that count. And the Adams is a large, small thing with a large destruction
amount. Right.
That was some rapping motherfuckers. Listening to the old shit, y'all. Listeners, we got this old, dedicated, dusty treasure hunt pack from our guests. They dug into the thing. And I'm just going to tell y'all, I'm going to let Alaska, continue hosting. But these were some rapping motherfuckers. You want to know a rapping motherfuckers? These were some rapping motherfuckers, raps. I'm talking raps on top of raps, like the project of raps. 18 floors of raps.
90 bar minimum.
Oh God, the bar count. Forget that.
Yeah, there was no such thing as a bar count.
Was a bar count? Yeah.
Just right till you stop.
Yeah. So for those that don't know, Cryptic and Geng are part of a crew called the Adams Family. Or were part of a crew. I don't know what the status of Adam's family is. It's a bunch of people that don't really talk to each other anymore.
except us three now, apparently.
Yeah, pretty much, right?
Yeah.
So it's kind of like loosely affiliated. But so the Adams family is where Vordul got his start. So for those of you who don't know, and if you listen to our podcast, you should know, Vordul is one of the rappers from the group Cannibal Ox. Vordul started as part of the Adams family, and I think maybe we should start just everybody sort of giving their first experience on how they came into Vordul. Curly and Zilla, if you want to touch into this. I don't know if you have any experience with Vordul in person or if it's just through record.
I encountered Vordul like just rest of us civilians on that first where everybody knew Company Flow was kind of disbanding. So, but they would still put out things here and there. And they had labeled the Company Flow single, the DPA simple Simeon Drug single. And so you get it. It's a nice illustration on the front, as Def Jux is known to do that time. But then you flipped it, and there was this whole other group, and they had Cannibal in the name. It was like, who are these guys? I mean, literally, didn't hear Hide No Hair. I didn't know any of the leaks, mixes. I wasn't even in New York at the time. I was in Philly. So that I wasn't into the plugged into the underground. So I didn't hear nothing of that. And straight off the DRC and Iron Galaxy was on there. And I'm like, what the hell is going on here? You know what I'm saying? Ironically, Vordul would damn near change his style almost immediately after those songs. But that definitely was an attention grabber for me. And Vast has some classic lines, but Vordul with the machine gun style. And what caught me with Vordul was, at first, if you listen to him, you're not paying it. I'm saying this right, you pick up like Jules Santana. He has that type of flow, the metronome with a little swing, and you think he's saying the same words, but he's not. And it goes even further than just like being obsessed with TION words. And you're like, oh, word, you know what I'm saying? Native and nature and like, and it's like really, he had to me, Vordul came off like an engine, and he just kept revving up. And if he wanted to, he would keep going. And especially on those Cold Vein songs, he definitely was almost keep going. So like that seemed like his style or whatever. So it was that single, that 12-inch. I went and bought that, and when I flipped it, it flipped everything for me because that was my first introduction to Vordul through the Cannibal Ox.
Yeah.
I think my shit was I probably said on the Canox episode. I went Castro. You remember Q Records on South Street?
Yes. Yeah.
I remember walking there with my man Noah. Shouts to Noah. He formerly did Good Music. Now he's like a VP at Columbia Records or some shit. There's a dude where we would be like listening to Mad Lib and Bjork and Canox all day, then I'm working for Kanye, which is hilarious. So we were at the basement of Q Records, and I saw what was the single? It was the B-Boy Alpha was on one side. What was the other side? Vane. I remember playing B-Boy Alpha, being like blown the fuck away, just standing there in the basement, like, what the fuck is this? And Vane to me was kind of like a letdown, only compared because B-Boy Alpha, like that whole build up with an acapella, and then that break comes in.
The organ, like the long organ intro, and then
and then when Vordul, straight out of the depths of hell, reflect a second, inhaled, like, and I was like, well, who are these dudes? So by the time the record came out, I was super amped. But like, I remember at the time dealing with Vordul being like, I'm gonna get through this dude to get to Vast, because I was all about Vast. Like Vordul was like, all right, kind of just deal with this verse for a while till I get to the main guy, because Vast was kind of like, they were like the sweet and sour. Like Vast was giving you the punchlines, the memorable shit, and like even people I was meeting that knew that record would be quoting Vast. No one was quoting Vordul that I knew. And then as years and years went by, I started catching like how ill Vordul was. Like by the time he went solo with like Young Havocs and all that, that's when I was like, oh, gotcha, 4 years later. And then it was like, so then every time I listen to Canox now, like I'm paying attention to him. And then when, I think we said on the Canox episode, when you listen to Iron Galaxy now, where he's like, like doing that shouting, life's ill, sometimes life might, like you can hear where Woods got his shit from, like that talking, yelling rap.
Exactly.
And it didn't occur to me until I was playing Canox last year again, which kind of kicked off like our biggest episode of the time, where I was like, oh, nah. And then, the rest of the album, he don't rhyme like that. He's not so amped. But you guys have all said at different points, like that was his style for a long time, like the yelling, like super powerful shit, cutting through everybody. So, like as time went on, his voice, his shit got more sparse and scarce. It's like, it's kind of dope because like, at least for me, it gave me time to like understand him and catch up. Whereas like Vast kind of just kept like making more and more left turns away from the style I fell in love with Cole Vane. Vordul's kind of like remained the same type of style where it's like puzzles you just keep putting together. You're like, oh damn, it's like more fulfilling of a listen. Even though like I think like some of his solo stuff is like very high and very low, but even when it's not as great, he's still dope. You know what I mean? I just think like his beat choices sometimes are off, but that's been like my Vordul.
Going back to Vordul was definitely rewarding when you encounter the cat, and I totally parallel with Z. Like Vast was like the sizzle, you know what I'm saying? But like but we all know we have our opinions about Vast, but Vast was like the fire that burnt real bright, real quick, and then kind of went out, but the embers were still going. And that was Vordul. Like, oh shit, you know what I'm saying? Like this guy, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, I echo some of Zilla's sentiments. Definitely.
I always used a boxing analogy for them. Like Vast was coming out swinging huge punches. Vordul would just jab you to death.
Yes, that's the great one.
3 albums straight.
Yeah.
Solid.
He was a technician.
Hits.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. What did he? When y'all knew him younger, was that part of his mode, like being a technician? Like some technician rappers, like they go in with that, or was that just his style? You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I think this will answer that question. My first encounter with Vordul was through a song that I'll be quoting later called Sperm Sample. And it was via, I believe it was via Cryptic, who gave me the first tape dub of that. And then Alaska. Probably. Yeah. And then Alaska may have followed. But yeah, Insane. They had a live bass on it, I believe. And
yeah, I believe it did, yeah.
Yeah, and there's a couple versions of it. I was studying them today. I heard the later one, so I think it was like 97 when that was recorded, and it was just, you can tell from the first version to the second version how Vordul had found that strange pocket that he weaves in and out of, and sort of more of his voice that then turned into a sort of that projecting, that strong, powerful projecting that like he carried on through. And I guess you really last heard it on Iron Galaxy. Now that I think about it, I would always say Metal Gear, which is the first Cannibal Ox song that they've recorded.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? But but
and speaking of that projecting, it's interesting. When I speak of irony, I always want the listeners not to know I don't believe like in coincidences. So like things are meant to be, but it's just the irony of that projecting style is how much work he did with Billy Woods.
Right.
You know, that's post the group stuff where he kind of goes a little back into the projecting style, and that is actually Woods' style, that projecting the orator type dictating, boom, 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 hitting you. And
absolutely, and furthermore to that, to paint more the concurrency between Vordul and Woods, they're both over the line writers. They're both the way that they land their rhymes. You can't. It's not standard pocket. It's not. It spills over. It spills over, and it always kind of hits you.
This guy right here.
Yeah.
His style, Alaska, leads into, but he has the internal rhymes that mask it, and it's very evident on that. What's that TV appearance? Because I went searching Cannibal Ox stuff that everybody kind of knows you for, Alaska. He had the
MTV shit. That's
the MTV joint.
Yeah. The MTV one or the '88 hip hop that I did with Vast.
Ooh.
So the one with the mic.
One
was
you have the
with me and
microphone.
Vast. Yeah, that was '88 hip hop.
I'm talking about.
I never seen that joint.
I'm just check that when you search Cannibal Ox. It's like one of the first things comes up. And
Alaska comes up.
Yes,
yeah,
and
I
his
freestyle the
style.
whole thing too, and it's straight freestyle. It's not.
I got because that's the '88 hip hop.
Not to give anybody secrets, but I know that's probably your safety is when you get to the end of a bar. If you don't have the next bar, you'll just rap those last couple of words to spill you into the next. And you were doing it, and he was going. And there is something to be said, I'm getting off topic, when you're not holding a mic with your hand, there's something else going on. Lapel mics, acoustic performances, this other stuff going. And I'm not talking listeners, I'm not talking about rap hands. That's a whole nother level. We'll even have a show about that. But when you don't have to hold the mic and you could just kind of talk straight, there's a lot of things going on. So I tell all listeners to check that out. It
builds on that cipher energy, right? Because it's like
of course,
my cipher shit right there.
Yep. And look, and Vast didn't want to go long, so he did something. He still had locks to this point. He said, "Alaska, like come here."
Oh wow.
It's like code word for come in here. And then Alaska was like, "Yeah, I'm not passing this." It's the cipher moment when you're like, "Oh no, he's not passing." He's not.
It was one of those moments where I was like, "All right, I'm in the zone and I'm not stopping."
was Alaska wearing a fucking Red Sox hat?
No, I wasn't. I was wearing like a fleece jacket
he had
on.
Spiky blonde highlights. That's the one.
No, what are you talking about? I think I had
the Smash Mouth frosted tips. My man had the frosted tips.
No, but you did have like there was a little spikiness to the top of the head. It wasn't flat.
I wasn't sure if I had the season.
Did he have a visor on upside down backwards?
I did, and I had my sunglasses on the back of my head.
But you did have the windbreaker, or maybe it was even Columbia double layer because there was two zippers down. So you had to
it was the fleece. It was a fleece vest, and I think maybe a fleece jacket over it.
Oh, he was looking good. He had the little mustache, just a little chin, chin. The pie May. He just had the pie May, no mustache. He's killing it. You know.
He didn't wear the white South Carolina Cox hat with the sweat stains
across the front.
Oh my god! But that's another thing though with these like on Sperm Sample, that was the group prior to Ox that Vordul was in, and that was a duo between Vordul and Alaska, and that combination between the wittiness of just being able to continue the words that sound the same but mean different things, like whatever you want to call that, like double, triple, quadruple entendres or whatever it is, like that wordplay. I mean, that was a thing that was evident. That was like the first thing you would notice, maybe, other than like voices and interesting like unique deliveries in the whole Addams Family collective. Like heads loved wordplay, and that was like double, triple, I mean, people just repeating the word, but or a word that sounds like that last word, but then it's just
and not just as a byproduct of style. Like I always compare people when you talk about sped up flows, gang. Like the Chicago and the Midwest, all that hey, do or die and stuff. That's that chopping. Even from LA back then, the what was the Good Life, the chopping. But chopping is a function of style. You're stopping yourself. What was cultivating with Adams and Alaska and all them and Criff was really like, okay, we're gonna keep that chopping style, but the words are all gonna be important in that. I'm not just gonna cheat with some rhyming phrases, you know, Cadillac, smack a crack. No, it's gonna be like Cadillac intergalactic. Like, you know what I'm saying?
I can give an example. It'd be like, you're ludicrous units, not luminous. In lieu of this, you lose your ship in my loose eclipse of unfit and looseness. Words that cover lunar surfaces to lunacy surfaces. You know, like shit like that.
We're not just playing, listeners. We do this. We're speaking from experience. That's the name of this episode. Experience. Vordul.
Hearing that
verse? What
that was from? I think it ended up on like an It song.
I think so.
Yeah, I think it's F the Herd, maybe.
No, it's not F the Herd. It's the other song we did that day. Poetic Equation.
Poetic Equation, right? Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, I got fired, and then I went straight to Cryptic's house.
And let it all out.
Yeah.
Just unloaded the clip. No, that.
So, Annie Ann's let you out like that, though? They just fired you middle of the shift? That's fucked up, though.
I mean, you know, it wasn't like that. Wait, what'd you say, Annie?
Annie Ann's press the stem.
Alaska, don't even worry. I used to get fired from my old groups all the time. Session, shows, all, like, you know. Z didn't let me in the house one time. He told me, like, yeah, come around back. They were having a meeting. I think they were talking about me.
Yeah, we were talking.
Because when I came in the room, it was like, shh.
I was like, hey.
How's your day? How you doing? Chris.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, gang. I mean, finish, brother. My bus.
I mean, I'm pretty much done. I mean, you know, to me, like, Vordul always kept, regardless of whether or not he was yelling, or not yelling, but projecting loudly, or, you know, more in his later Cold Vein style and style that followed. He always kept the emphasis about his words and about his delivery and the way that he would sort of twist words around to either find the pocket or, you know, create a new meaning out of them. He spun images. He was like the master of the run-on sentence rhyme. You know what I mean? His shit was always dense. And that was the interesting part. Like hearing like Alaska back to back with Vordul. Also with Vast too, they were like, it's like this polar opposite thing. Like Alaska and Vordul boxed in a different way, where it was like Alaska had this crazy, like, I mean, still does, like this rapid fire action to the speed of the words that are coming out, and this like the breath control was crazy, like just, you know what I mean? And then Vordul in those days like had more like, yeah, just like the most, like he would just stuff down like descriptors, like just everything was the most descriptive thing just to talk about one, like you'd use like 5 bars to describe one object.
Nice.
You know what I'm saying?
Nice. Yeah. That George R.R. Martin. Them George R.R. Martin bars.
Word, right. So, but it's interesting to see then, like, we'll talk about it, I'm sure, later or whatever, but to see how that then shifted into what was going on Cold Vein and so forth. But yeah, I mean, after that, I met him briefly afterward, and you know, we connected because he was in Harlem and I was in Manhattan, like not too, you know, I was a couple 20 some 30 40 odd blocks below him, and he was on the west side. But yeah, you know, we had that sort of like city kid thing. So yeah, we connected like very quickly and would be on the phone. Plus, like our ages, he was what, a year and a half, I think, or you know, he had a year or maybe 2 years over me, I believe. I think two, yeah, at least 2 years. So he was like 18, 19 when I first met him. I was 16, 17. So I don't know how that math comes out, but anyway.
Man, y'all motherfucking rap WonderCon phenoms. I was going to college and getting in debt. And no, I came up with some decent MCs in college, but when I would meet cats, when I would meet cats, like I came up with that cat Caution. Y'all might know him. My man Brody Boy Ace. They went to school with me while I was there.
Brody Boy Ace, that's some Philly shit, dog.
Yo,
Brody Boy
he
Ace
is nasty. I seen this cat battle with a vein popped out the side of his neck.
Wait. Castro, you went to school with Caution from like Philly? Yes. Caution?
Yeah, Black Ops. Yeah, I went to school with him.
Whoa,
same
that's
age.
Crazy. Yo, that cat was boy. That cat is nasty.
Got Paradise. They all wrote together, and the boy Brody, I will never forget this. Like it was like a picture. I know I'm off topic, but he had this vein popping out the side of his neck, and then he said something like, "And you lost it, and y'all all gonna rethink what you thought was raw shit." And the crowd went crazy. Like I said, I'm sitting there like, I'm rethinking it right now. Was that wrong? Like it was just. So anyway,
damn, that's crazy, cat.
But I remember when I would meet cats, because I didn't get into rhyming until I got through college and stuff. And I would meet cats, and I was a ball player in high school. I didn't rap, and so I was like, damn, when did y'all? You're 15, you're doing this? So like, and shout out to Prem. Prem was young as hell, getting up and going overseas. I was just admirable. So when I hear stories of Vordul, same thing with how people got so excited about Earl. When you hear this certain level at this age, it's that Nas particle. Listen, you understand, it's this God particle that we all been chasing since Nas hit. And it's like when you're that age, but you seem so wise, and how can you rap this well at this age? Prodigy, P, Vulture. Definitely. And it's like, where did you get your advance? Because I'm just getting rolling, and you're already running downhill with it, and I think Vordul went upon inspection. That when I heard the ages, and I was very impressed. So yeah, sure. Salute to all of that.
Indeed, just to follow up on that, because I met him. I think I might have met him before Alaska did, but I met Vordul. He was 16.
Yeah, about the same.
Yeah. So, and to also flip back to the projection shit, like I met him in a cipher outside of New Eureka, and he stepped into the cipher and was fucking loud. And voice echoing off the building at like 2 a.m, screaming about GoBots and robots and Transformers and shit.
GoBots to robots on Cybertron.
That's the exact verse. That's what's up. And I was like, who the fuck is this? And then I found out his name was Vordul, and I found out we were in the same crew. That's the other thing with Adam's family. There were so many of us, I didn't meet half of them. I met Vast in the cipher. I met Vast in the cipher.
Who has the record for meeting the most Adams members? Like actually bumping into the most of y'all?
Cryptic,
probably me, yeah, for sure. I recorded songs with half of them, so.
Got you, dope.
Yeah. But so that was my introduction to Vordul in the cipher after I'd already heard about him and heard his name. And then the first time I recorded with him, again, back to the projection shit, I've recorded 1 million MCs at this point. I have the mic level set to where I think it's going to be. That shit was off the chart red. I kept turning it down. I'm like, I don't think this shit goes down anymore. You're going to have to step back from the mic.
That sounds like Z talking to me in the studio.
No, I know Castro's level, dog. Turn that bitch to the left. All the way down.
But yeah, I mean, and all that shit about his style, the run-on sentences, it was very deliberate. But the flip side of it is every take was a little bit different.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Every single take, the pocket was in a different place. So he didn't write to beats. He just wrote and wrote.
Yeah.
And wrote,
Oh.
Had all the internal rhyme schemes and would just kind of figure it out.
Yeah.
And
during the recording? As he's
recording.
laying, he's kind of, oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the other flip side of that is half the time he'd fuck up halfway through the verse and freestyle the rest. And that would be what we would keep. So
and that's listeners, that's the legend. Go listen to the whole vein.
Always keep the mistakes. Always.
And you will find some weird blends where is he freestyling the last 12 bars of this? Who knows?
Yep. For sure.
That's dope.
But
that's definitely dope to know about that Crypt in terms of like the energy that was going on. Specifically for COVID, and obviously that's the mythic Bible. Everybody wants to know how did they do that. But to hear that those things were kept shows that L and everybody was like, yo, we can't harness this energy. It's really like just let it roll, let it go, and don't clean it too much. And that's what I'm saying when I was introducing y'all as some rapping ass motherfuckers. Like, there's gems in there if you're willing to mine. If you're willing to mine and slice and stuff. Zilla works with an artist who's actually a really good graphic artist. People know him, Dewey Saunders. And sometimes, I'm not giving his shit away, but certain songs he'll give Z just like bars. And Z and his other partner, shout out my man Rick Fried, right? They'll pick out, oh, this sounds good as a hook. And then boom, this song is just kind of growing from this set of this heavyweight stuff. Exactly. So some artists really, if you could mine, you could find the diamonds right up in there. I think maybe like My Beat, a lot of their hooks sound like verses. So I know for sure they didn't sit there, hey, who got the hook? No, they like, I got bars. Like, double it.
My crew worthy bloodshed and tears through the years. Short brothers drink beers. Live a life this way. That is not the hook.
So Vordul's latest stuff, Crypt, to just slant through that, and I'm gonna let you finish. I feel like there was a little bit of that. Like, his songwriting was very interesting on his structures that he developed as a solo artist later on.
Yeah, I mean, I can hear it just because I've recorded with him so much, but like specifically on Cold Vein, there's definitely a couple joints where he just kind of, you can tell he just like lost the flow and just started freestyling it. And I don't think a lot of people realize it. Maybe it's just because we all know him so well, but he just had that ability to do it and no one would stop him. And I'm really glad that L was on the same, like, just let him go, record it, keep it. Cut off a word here because he'd go for like 80 bars. You had to cut him short and echo out the last word and make it seem like it was supposed to end there. And then, like,
it's crazy. He even says on Cold Vein, that's all I got. So he
I ain't got an end piece.
I ain't got an end piece. Yeah.
So he probably went where people think he was gonna go further for that one. He's like, that's all I got. My favorite verse of his that I will touch on later. I know for a fact almost that he did freestyle maybe like the last 8-10.
I'm curious to hear that one. I
have a feeling what it is.
Yeah. There's two in my mind that are like, woo, woo, woo.
One of the other things that Crypt didn't bring up about Vordul's process was when you get in the studio with Vordul, he almost always forgot to bring his raps with him.
Yep.
So he would have to call his mom, who would then have to find his notebook and figure out what he wrote in that notebook in his graffiti chicken scratch. And then they would spend like an hour on the phone.
Was she reading it back to him? Like,
he would read it back to him, and he would write it down.
New York, the trains and the gun talk.
Yo, this is like Peter Parker, Spider-Man, Aunt May shit. His mom, I heard of the story, but I thought that he just asked mom, "Did you have it?" He maybe ran back and got it. I didn't know that she was spitting his bars to him.
This was clockwork too. Every time you were in the studio.
And
wow, that's a great story.
The other thing about how he wrote. He didn't write on the lines because this was in the age where we didn't want to type in shit. He wrote diagonally 45 degrees to the lines for whatever fucking reason.
Yeah.
Wow. I have a weird writing style.
I know. Well, they was always explained. It was always explained that you can get more on a page that way, diagonally.
Right. So I write like shout out to Barry Disco Vietnam. He dropped House of Rabbi Part 6 today. Check that out. So I write in these two columns where I start in this left-hand column first mainly because I got tired of turning the page and then dedicating my memory to what is on the other side of the page. So when I memorize the rhymes, I would think of what's on that front page, and then I kind of remember what's on the top of the other page if I went further. So I started writing these freaking columns so I wouldn't have to flip just for 16, and it was like one long column. No, actually, sorry. I start on the right, so I write one column down, and then I finish on the left column. Almost like
you still write with an actual utensil, a pen.
When I do, I write a lot with my phone now. I barely write down. But if I have to jot something down, I still write in those columns. So even if it's on a piece of paper or a napkin or whatever, I still write in those two columns. I've always done that.
Word. Yep. Well, we took our first break, man. Come back.
Hold on, let me.
My
first experience with Vordul. Well, my situation was similar to Cryptic's, in that I met Vordul when he was very young. We actually met Osiris Cloud at New Eurekan Poets Cafe, and we were like ciphering in the bathroom there. And he was like, "You guys want to be an Addams Family?" And we were like, "Okay, cool." So he was like, "Come." He was like, "Come meet us." You have
to mail in no proof of purchase or
nothing.
Well,
and he was like, "Yo, we're gonna all hang out on Saturday, so come meet us at the West Forest station, and we'll meet you there." So I got there. they're like, be there, we'll hang out around noon. I got there at noon.
No one was there, were they?
Nobody was there. 1 o'clock, nobody was there. 2 o'clock, nobody was there. But I really wanted to be like part of, because I'd seen Adam's Family ciphering and I'd seen them perform.
Nobody was
like,
up by the courts. They weren't up by the courts.
No, nobody. They were like, we're gonna meet on the platform. So eventually, Vordul shows up at like 3:30, and he's like, let's just go up to my crib. So we go there, and it's like, he lived on 135th Street. So we go, from West 4th up to 135th Street. We get there. His mom is there. His his brother and sister are there. They're like 3 and 4.
Mm-hmm.
And his mom was like, why are you bringing somebody to the house? And I'm like, oh, shit. And he's like, don't worry about it. So we go to his room. I end up staying there for like 2 days straight.
I love it.
Never met anybody else from Adam's Family. And just Vordul and I like worked on rhymes the whole time. It was basically the perfect introduction to Vordul, because it was like there was no time, there was no structure. It was just whatever was happening in that moment. And like his rhymes were like that. Everything about him was just that way.
The moment.
I think that's like a pretty much perfect distillation of the kid as he was. And mind you, I was probably like 22, which made it extra weird.
Why are you bringing this old guy to my apartment?
Why is this adult in our house right now?
Yeah.
Wait, real quick, I just connected the dots on something, or reconnected the dots. First of all, with the center of the web wax, that's how I connected with you, Crip, because that number was on the wax, right?
Yeah. Mad people called the number, and it was just my fucking phone
Your landline. I thought I was gonna hit like a voicemail or a pager or something.
Like, no, hello?
Yeah. I was like, oh shit.
Good afternoon. Who is this?
Is this CP Records? Oh yeah. What's up?
And then was it on the actual center cut label of the record, where all the names of the various groups of the Adams Family was in?
No, that was on the Adams
just
Family sticker. The
circular sticker, right? So one day, I think Vast had broken all those groups down to me, because that's what he did, and member by member, and so he was in a group with Osiris and Seth Hood, I believe.
Car Mechanics.
Wow, Car Mechanics, right?
Like Karma.
Karma.
I totally knew it already. You didn't even have to explain it. I knew it.
Yeah, exactly.
That is some 90s shit.
All dreads.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Just some
all dreads. All dreads.
A dready crew. So reason why I bring that up is Genesis was also, I feel like they all rolled together, and they all went to like Washington. Well, most of them went to like Washington Irving, right? High school. Which is down by, I think, it's like by Union Square, basically. It's like, it's a crazy school.
It's like 17th Street or something like that, right?
That shit is wild, right? Yes.
It's also where didn't Prodigy go there too? Prodigy
he went to Art and Design.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he did. Somebody went to Irving. I know a bunch of people that went to Irving.
Mad people.
Somebody with a name. Somebody with a name.
Mad people went to Irving, for sure.
Is that the school that Cap ran up in with a gun?
Could be. Cap went to school in Manhattan. It could be.
Yeah, I know there was. I thought it was Washington.
He might have been chasing. He might have been chasing. But no, Washington Irving got some stories to him.
Washington Irving was crazy. I remember we were walking by. It was Vordul and I and his partner at the time or whatever, and we were walking through, like, it was like 2000, 2001, and it's just like Washington Irving kids after school, and he's just like, wow, this kid's just so mad. Like, yo, what do you think? Like, all like,
he's 60 years old. What you on
exactly,
rent? Like, what the fuck is?
And the shit is built, like, the way the school is built is just like a few other schools that I can name off the top in the city, where it's just like the windows are like barred up and they're crazy small. It just looks like fucking, it looks like prison. It's prison. Yep.
Only the strong. Shouts to that movie.
So
I'll be right back, y'all.
Word. But I believe Genesis went to Irving as well, and
pretty sure, yeah. Those are the four that started Adam's Family. Genesis, Osiris, Vordul, and Vast, and they all went to school there with with Seth and I think actually Kenyatta Black went there too. They're all like comic book artists. That's
Oh shit.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. I mean, Vordul had I seen some sketches that Vordul did. His shit was crazy too. Yeah. All those kids were ill. Shout out to my man, our man Ammo, MLF, formerly known as, but he's like still on his comic book shit.
Damn.
Yeah. He's out there, married, children, all that. But yeah, so I just wanted to like clarify, confirm that also, just because like those are most of those people aren't really around in the documented way. You know what I mean? Like they're not so present in the picture. So, and Genesis was on Stretch and Bob first, right? Like
that's how I found out who Genesis was, on Stretch and Bob. And I was like, wait, I'm in his school.
He killed those Stretch and Bob freestyles.
Oh yeah.
But there was also the story of Genesis that I always heard was that was OC on Wild Pitch.
Yeah, he was signed to Wild.
So they were deciding between him and OC, and they picked OC.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. That's wild. Yeah. No pun intended. That's crazy though. That's
wild.
That's ill. And he was on Bob's team. He was the center for Bobito Garcia's basketball team. Yeah.
Oh shit.
This cat has seven.
He was in the NBA. He was on the Clippers.
What?
Yeah. He was on
Genesis?
the Clippers. Yep.
What was his name?
What's his real name? Yeah.
Neil. I'll have to Google it, but I'm still Facebook friends with him. Like I asked him. Yeah, he was on the Clippers. Then he played overseas for a little bit.
Yeah, like that's once Adam started kicking off. I think he was already overseas playing, right?
Yeah, he kind of he dipped out of Adams because he was like he was one of the original members and he didn't know like 90% of the people in it, so he kind of dipped out. But he's still. I think he's still recording. He's still rapping.
He went by. I think he changed his name to Genghis. Actually.
Yeah,
like,
Genghis.
I think
Genghis
he did.
Kong.
Yeah.
Genghis Kong. But I think he's back to Genesis LXG or something.
LXG. Right. For sure. Crazy.
All right. So I mean, let's take a quick break.
Yeah.
And then
edit.
Drink some more alcohol.
Hey yo, Q! It's Wrecking Crew. Raheem's Lament, the new project from me, myself, Zilla Rocca, Curly Castro, Prem Rock, Small Professor. Available exclusively on Bandcamp via wreckingcrew.bandcamp.com. We got all your favorite Wrecking Crew affiliates, homies on there. People you already know, I don't need to list them off. Go grab that joint right now. And then you could also grab the official first ever piece of Wrecking Crew merch designed by Quandary himself. You can get the 5-panel hat, or you can get the black snapback. Joints are shipping now. Alright? Raheem's Lament, all types of wild shit on there. We got Arm & Hammer on there. We got Willie Green on there. We got Jason Griff on there. We got Quandary Messiah Music. We got New Career Crooks from me and Small Pro. Blue Edwards, the new group. Curly Castro and Small Pro. We got exclusive Prem Rock joints on there. Yo, it's crazy. Check it out right now. Raheem's Lament. Peace.
Hey, this is Chum Zilla. I just want to let you know, I have a new album out right now. It's called Terra Incognita. It features a lot of great raps from a lot of great rappers. Some of them, including Poison Pen, Just One, Alaska, Cryptic One, Eric Lamb, Ben Grimm, Juice Mega, and quite a few more over some, I'd like to say, slappers produced by yours truly. Terra Incognita is available right now at store.chumzilla.com. It is available on a limited edition solid black cassette tape, as well as digital, through store.chumzilla.com, as well as whatever streaming service you'd like to listen to music on. Chumzilla, Terra Incognita, available now through Raw Bar Records. Now, back to your regularly scheduled program.
all right, and we are back. So back to Vordul. I mean, the dude's been rhyming for what, like at least 30 years now? Close to it, right?
Incredible.
Yeah. Damn. I mean, when we met him, it was like early 90s, so it's close to 30 years.
Damn.
So let's talk a little bit about how his style has evolved, because we talk about, you know, the early works and how it went into the Canuck stuff, but, you know, are there any sort of like key points that you guys see where you kind of saw his style changing from one thing to the next, and, you know, sort of what are your thoughts on that?
I don't know. You want me to go first? I could.
Yeah, sure. Yeah,
I could
go
definitely.
Do it.
Pigeon was the first. Pigeon was the second Ox song that they recorded.
Yeah.
And
Damn,
that was
really?
the first. Yeah.
Yeah. It was
That was that-
Metal Gear, then Pigeon, then
Iron Galaxy.
Iron Galaxy
Look
straight off the dick.
Look
Wow.
at the gods of album arrangement. Just because it's like towards the end, you know, so most of us think this.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then the way they paired it too was with one of the last songs they recorded. They had the Scream Phoenix beat riding around on tapes. Like I had that instrumental off of a tape dub for a long time. That and Real Earth and a couple other songs.
Oh my god.
But Scream Phoenix, I believe, was one of the last songs they did.
I think it might have been the last one they did,
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh,
So
wow.
there's
But
more.
so was that a matter of them coming, like, you know, fully coming to realization of what the project was? Because the song sounds like that. You know what I mean?
I don't know. Yeah. Well, that beat was there for a while, and I think they were just like getting, you know, they wanted. I don't know. I don't know what happened, but like they were just working on the album. It was just a beat. I guess it's one of those moments where it's like, oh, like this beat we can't fuck up with this beat. Like we can't. Fuck
Right, and
I'll
do that. You'll hold on to the one that
hold
you
on
want to
to it,
really
yeah.
do perfect.
Yeah.
And then sometimes it's funny. Sometimes it never works out perfectly like that when you're making that record, like whatever that song is. But it definitely did for them. Shit.
For sure.
See, I remember Vass called me and he was like, "Yo, we're about to record the last song. It's basically Pigeon Part 2." And I was like, "Don't fucking record Pigeon 2, man. Pigeon is like the illest shit." And then when I finally heard Scream Phoenix, I was like, "All right, fuck, I'm glad you did that shit."
Right.
But,
Right.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Continue what you were saying, gang.
Nah, you good. Pigeon was where Shamar where Vordul got his. I mean, just where Vordul found that thing that I believe he was searching for a while. Because like, yo, you understand? Like, well, actually, you can't. No one really can know this until this episode, really, because like you would have to have been in like next to him, you know what I'm saying, to have like understood the fact that like you would have been recording him like Cryptic, you know what I mean, like or working with him like Alaska and I and whoever, like to know that this cat had so many verses recorded or so many verses written and half recorded, you know, things that he never considered anything finished or didn't like anything. Like that's why like that's probably why a lot of stuff never surfaced, you know what I'm saying? Like there's Adam's collections and whatnot, archives and whatnot on the Bandcamp. And it's a lot, there's not that much, I don't feel like there's a lot of like written Vordul documented on there. Aside from, you know, we may get into that joint later or whatever, but like he was utterly a perfectionist. And I feel like part of that came from his love for his wanting to connect something that he didn't find until Pigeon. Yeah. And it was this, I mean, put it like this, like every time we got on the phone, every time we spoke about our enjoyment, you know, our love and passion for like writing words down and, you know, connect, you know, people who do this shit, it was always Ghostface, Raekwon, you know, P, like heads like that were like that. I mean, Ghost was his favorite. Like Soul Controller off of Iron Man was his favorite, most quoted song to me. He would always quote the second verse too. The second verse of Soul Controller where the beat changes.
I love that part. Oh man, it's like, what does he say? It's like brothers get lost, like SS Minnows.
Minnows, yeah.
That shit is crazy.
It's just something about the UFOs. He's got a line about UFOs.
Yep.
But anyway,
he was crazy on Capadonna then too. If I recall,
yeah.
a lot then.
Cap was like, because Cap was like another slang, crazy language linguist. You know what I mean? Like,
all day.
And he's the one. Like Vordul was the one who taught me how to listen for that. Like I came up on this shit like since fucking whatever 86. I was like listening like Salt and Pepper and like whatever, you know what I mean? Whatever
Right.
else was out there. But like you're straight up like Push It was like the first rap song I ever heard. You know what I'm saying? Like as a kid.
Mhm.
Whatever.
Nice.
But you know, coming up on just understanding like how like imagery and non sequiturs and whatnot, like Vordul was about that shit, right? So like we'd have these long ass conversations almost every day talking about like X, Y, and Z around that topic, and he just felt like he was trying to push and get at something with every like new verse he wrote, like prior to Ox, and then Metal Gear happened, and it was like, all right, like we're in this new thing. Obviously, like this was, you know, it was like, I mean, the verse is killer. Obviously, like the new space, I think allowed him to sort of kick into something that then became Pigeon. And when he did Pigeon, you can hear the change in the pocket, in the tone of his voice, the projection, the delivery, you know what I mean? As well as like just the way he was attacking the themes. And it wasn't this like abstract, it's very abstract, but he brings it back down to like a street level that like, you know, like his themes are all based, his imagery is all based around the shit that was in his direct, you know, surroundings. I mean, it wasn't about,
it was definitely like,
comics.
the connectivity, if I can jump in real quick, gang, because you had Vast there talking very comic booky and superhero and like, you know, far on, like, you know, Mutant Gene stuff. But then Vordul would be like, I got that, but I'm right here on the corner. I got to pay rent tomorrow. And it was that boots to the ground, that barefoot, I'm in the soil, you know, looking at the stars. We're connected, but I'm down here. And that was the ill dichotomy between the two of them. You know, the Vast was very much talking about fantastical things like Zilla said in the beginning of the episode, like he would draw you in with like, you know, big bright phrases and colloquialisms you're familiar with in quotes. And then when you get in and you look close and you squint your eyes, then you see like Vordul with the like really like rustic metal imagery, like it's not a cliche to say, like when Vordul rap, that was very New York.
Absolutely.
When you hear cats 100%. Like Wiki, when you hear Wiki rap or G Dep or Styles P, I'm just talking about offshoots that, you know, people don't bring up all the time, but you know the regional stuff like Killer Mike's all Atlanta all day, you know what I'm saying? Too short. But like that New York, it might not even be a accent. The one I have, it might not even be a timbre of Busta Rhymes. That's New York. You know what I'm saying? And like Vordul definitely had that timbre. Like New York is coming out of my mouth. No matter where you're catching me, no matter where we're recording this, what we're talking about, there's going to always be that New York thing.
I'll throw something real quick then when you just say both of them. Like, I think Vordul is age better because punchline rappers don't age well.
Indeed.
And it doesn't mean that Vast is like a flat punchline rapper because he has a lot of like the F word is a fucking universal, like timeless.
But
right
punchlines are very topical, right? They're time.
Because after you've heard when you know that punchline's coming, after you know the 50th listen, it doesn't hit any as hard. Yeah. That's not like your personal memory of it, but Vordul,
so many layers. It's like layers on layers. Like there's still stuff that I listen to on Cold Vein that I'm like, oh shit, that's what he meant. Like 20 years later, it's like that's what's wild.
Whereas like the punchline from Vast hit you on the first listen, whatever 2001, whatever it is.
Well, it's like watching The Usual Suspects and watching Goodfellas. Usual Suspects doesn't have the replay value after the first. Once you know the secret.
It just can't. Yeah. But again, it's just like that's why I was bringing up that little topical thing and just, you know, always trying to school listeners and rappers that want to try it. So if you're doing a punchline, it's very like time stamp. You're talking about the Kramer incident that happened at a certain date. You know what I'm saying? So if you're listening to that rap a couple of times, dissing Billy Clinton, you know, the only Billy Clinton jokes that work now are the Goody Mob ones, because those have really like deep-seated conspiracy shit to it. Like I didn't even get that back then. But like if you're saying a punchline,
you know it is. You know, like I know it's like the 1 year, like in 1 year, every rapper like their punchline was like talk about Sonny Bono like crashing.
Yeah, the crash into the
That's
tree.
true.
What trees is Sonny
Like,
Bono?
unless you're
overused.
45 years old now, you're like, what the fuck is Sonny Bono? Like,
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
why do you keep
So
talking about this?
you might not even be able to rate to listeners, like Z's saying, but I always wary of and this is a tip for rappers. Don't, if you can, put years in your rhyme any way, shape, or form. Unless you're talking about something, years later, vintage or something. But don't say in 01 and 09, like those don't age well. You're already doing it. You're already putting the decay molecule in there. The clock is ticking. We're talking about it's 2004. I went for more. I don't want to hear no more. Stop playing that. Close that door. Like, that's enough.
So
Sure.
can I add on a little bit to what Geng was saying? So I think Vordul in those early days was trying to find the language that he needed to use to get to Ox, right? So his actual delivery style changed. But like when we first met Vordul, he was all sci-fi. Like it was sci-fi and comic books. Like every single bit of his visual lyricism was sci-fi and comic books. And as we started getting more into more Adam stuff, he would sprinkle less of that in there, and he would sort of touch on more worldly topics. Like I think he was getting comfortable in trying to find the language in order to describe his world around him. And part of that was shedding the protections that he put around himself with like the sci-fi and the comic book shit. By the time you got to Pigeon, he was comfortable enough to be like, this is actually just what's in front of me, and I'm going to tell you how I see it.
Exactly. So
Versus,
like the way that I've always saw it was like pre-Pigeon, his raps were totally about escapism. Like, I just totally want to leave my environment and go to this other place. Pigeon, he embraced that environment and brought the other place to his actual environment.
Yes.
Like, it was bringing the sci-fi to the hood, not just escaping to the sci-fi.
Right.
That's great. That's a great way to put it, Crip. Because I definitely, as an MC myself, I know I keep rolling myself in this, but I'm feeling this origin story. But you do that. You do put on this armor. You do start acting. I'm like Lionel. I'm dating myself. You know what I mean? You make yourself into these characters, and then when your craft, I'm not saying it works for everybody, but for a lot of people, when you start really honing and sculpting that craft, is when you're more vulnerable and you're not scared to say, okay, let me talk about my alcoholic aunt. You know what I'm saying? Let me just put that out there, and then you're also not so enamored with dazzling, and because it's not the MC and its trickery, but it's like you want to show people your skills. But then there's a point where people want to see you through your skills, and that might not require you to do so much gymnastics and talking about so many fantastical things. You might just be able to say some regulars, and really go off. And that's when Vordul started going off. He was talking about because that's what you relate to. That's when the listeners start getting pulled in. At first, the observers are looking over the cipher. Oh man, this guy's rapping, rapping his ass off. But then the listeners are like, yo, he's talking about me. You know what I'm saying? And that relation really, really helps draw you in. That's what makes that cold vein. And then to me, his later stuff that get into that legendary replay value. Us talking about this ill cat. You know what I mean? More so than just a song or two of the times. It was worth it.
And a lot of it had to do with also him growing up a little, like just on some. He had been through a lot of shit. Like, not to get into his personal shit, but like when I met him, he was a kid. He was 16 years old. He's been through some shit, but like, as you're going through adolescence, growing up in New York City and Harlem in those times, you're bound to go through some fucking shit, and that kept seeping more and more into his music, as it should. Like he was always about being genuine. So as more of that shit happened to him, it would seep more and more into his music, and that just kind of exploded in a way on Pigeon to me, and not to limit his stuff post Pigeon, but Pigeon to me was his peak. Like that, I don't think he could ever do anything better than that. It's for me, so it's one of my favorite songs of all time outside of hip hop. Yeah, and his verse in particular, like that's the thing I can listen to every day and never get sick of it.
Same.
I pose a question to all us hip hop scholars, because it works differently for people. We don't even have to know the personal, but is pain the unlocker? Does pain unlock a certain chamber that heights your MC, your musicianship, Cryptic, in your sense, you know, making beats, making soundscapes? Is that necessary? I don't want to advise people that that's necessary, but if you could harness it.
I don't know if it's necessary, but it definitely helps. Like,
yeah,
you know, like to go through, you have to go through some shit to, like, whether it be, you know, like whatever tragedy, everyone has tragedies on different levels.
Yes.
And I think art in its purest form is like dealing with that shit through some sort of medium. And whether it be, you know, painting, photography, movies, documentaries, whatever, it's like the most compelling stories, it's there's a huge conflict, right? And conflict is pain. So I mean, if you listen to Cold Vein, which we all have, how many times have Vordul used the word pain? Like,
Pain Cave. They made a whole section in the crib. You know, it's dedicated. It's the Pain Cave. I remember what L kept saying. I was like, dang.
He always says trapped.
Trapped.
Yeah, trap is a big one too.
That's a New Yorker that centers his lyricism around the word trap. Science that stuff, listeners. Go listen to Vordul and see what the trap is about, because that's real. That's anybody's life that's on a cycle that they just can't either level up, or the cycle keeps perpetuating itself. Or I know some females, they have the worst luck. They about to get the crib, somebody bought a crib, they break the leg, the flood, and that word is really, it's a heavy word. And so, like, you know, we all trying to get out of that, but hell yeah, y'all.
And it's still so relevant in especially these times right now, right? So everything he says, you know, Rudy, Julie don't really give a fuck about a movie. Like, that's what we're going through right now. You know, like,
ain't that prophecy? Damn.
Like, yeah. So that's back to the difference between the punchlines and the layered shit that just it always has meaning, you know?
Yeah. He got with this language. I mean, there's something that happens on Pigeon that is only, I think, then referred to by title on another song on Cold Vein. But at one point, there was a conversation that heads were having, and it was like they wanted to create their own sort of slang beyond just witty word combinations.
That's Woo lesson 108.
Oh, absolutely right.
You know
so like beyond
100%.
beyond the Ethiopian skin mechanical, you know, beyond that stuff, it was like
Stitch, my wetsuit stitched. I know that was part of it. Hell yeah, elevator. Trust me, y'all.
All the metallic wing stuff, that's Vordul all day. Because Vordul apparently loved Archangel from X Factor and X.
Archangel and Silverhawks. Trust me, if I call him right now, I know that's what he's talking about, yo.
That's a fact. That's a fact. Because like hearing old songs, he would he more than once, he's in old songs that have never been out. Like he's referenced Archangel, Metal Wings, Metal Metallic Wings. But on top of that, there's the where is it? Like he says,
while you look for it, gang, I'm gonna school the listeners to Archangel. So Archangel was a mutant, original mutant.
No one needs to know about Warren Worthington III.
No, but here's
the listen to our X-Men episode with Open Mike Eagle. Listen to X-Men.
We did an X-Men episode with Open Mike Eagle. Check that out in the archives. But this is where this is where it relates to Vordul in a sense. Archangel, beautiful man and rich. Warren Worthington III, third generation. Blonde hair, looked gorgeous, had money. Wings of an angel, that's his mutation. Now, people are looking at him weird, but he has wings of an angel, body of Adonis, right? He gets involved with this this horrible thing called the Morlock Massacre with this group called the Marauders, and they impale his wings. They put these energetic harpoons through him, and he has to get cut. They have to cut his wings off to save his life, obviously. He's despised these wings because they made him strange, but then when he doesn't have the wings, he feels like he has no purpose and no identity because he's not a mutant. He can't roll with the team. He's a liability. And so then he gets with Apocalypse. Everybody knows what that is. And Apocalypse gives him metal wings. But the trade-off for that is you have to become one of my four horsemen. Apocalypse, you're going to be deaf, yada, 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 yada. Apocalypse, double agent type stuff. Skin turns blue. So just to see that Vordul admired somebody like that, and they have the elements of Scream Phoenix and rising out of this ash of New York after getting your wings clipped. the actual quote unquote pure angel, but now the metal wings are a better version of that self. It's just, that's comic classic 101, but like when you just gotta peep when people pick Daredevil, when people pick Moon Knight, check those characters, listeners, because it's not just random. You know what I'm saying?
First, no one can see it, but here's my. I'll go back to my light. Here's my Archangel toy from the '90s. I gave my son. Missing the wings.
Oh,
missing the wings. But my son's always like, "What does this button do?" I'm like, "Well, he had metal wings, and I lost them." There you go, Archangel.
Scream Phoenix.
Archangel. Okay, Archangel is ill. But on Pigeon, he says he uses the word. Well, it's like the third bar. It's like mega alarm, technoloid. Like that, they wanted to create this language that had "oid" at the end of every word. So that's where you get ridiculoid. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I tried to make ridiculoid happen around me.
Caucasoid.
No one was fucking with it.
Like, so check it. That is an old, tried and true tradition of most people of color. Like, all right, but not just people of color. People are stuck in the ghetto, trapped. Right? Pig Latin was created so cops couldn't understand what we were saying. We would talk right in front of them. You know, it's gay.
That's that prodigy line. I speak in code so the police don't know what I'm saying.
And somebody, I can't pull it right now, but I used to hold it on because I remember he did like half his verse in Pig Latin. And I was like bugged out over it. But we created that so we could talk in front of cops, pigs, and them not know what we're saying right to their face. You can curse them out. You can talk around their back or whatever. Hide this, stash that. And so for Vordul to have aspirations to create another language, and that's what we are. We are writers. A lot of us want to do that anyway. Prodigy episodes, slang heavy, done heavy. You know what I'm saying? And so like there is always an aspiration from all MCs to create your own language, solo or group wise. And I think even if you're an adult, it's not a child fantasy. This is like high-end Egyptian science we get into.
It's off of Hegelian theory. That's what I missed where he says, "I'm gifted. My raps is mystic. It's codes that I speak, so the police missed it." There you go. That's the hook.
Yeah,
I love that shit.
So like that's ill that Vordul will try to take on that and all of them. You know, yes.
I mean, so much of the Canox aesthetic in general is Vordul, right?
It's Vordul.
It's
Absolutely.
like
okay.
So much of like the language used, the imagery, the sort of the ideas for the songs, even like those are all Vordul things. Like Iron Galaxy, that's the type of shit that Vordul would say all the time.
Absolutely.
Pigeon, fucking Scream Phoenix. That's all shit that Vordul would say in regular conversation.
Yep.
Yeah.
Cold Vein. Yeah. That's Vordul all day.
Cold Vein
that's
is
the
Vordul.
Vordul term, and that's what he thought New York was. Still Z agrees. That's still one of the illest. I'm from New York. It still like means so much. Subway systems, our winters, just like whatever, yo.
Do you know the origins of it? I believe I don't want to claim it 100%, but I'm pretty sure they were on the roof of a building and looking down, and it was snowing, and the streets looked like veins, and that was the idea of Cold Vein. Yeah.
Get the fuck out of here, man. I wish they explained. I wish they said that one time in an interview. That would have been nice. That would have been a nice nugget to have out there. Hell yeah.
All you gotta hear.
Hell yeah. You heard it first. Call out culture, always with the exclusive cities. What you talking about, yo? Shit.
Sorry to cut you off, Tim.
No, I was just building on what Geng was saying, really. Just like, it's sort of like what you were saying about the language that they wanted to build and how much of that was just like natural conversation with Vordul when you have conversations with him. And like you just if you think of those conversations, so much of those conversations are in this record.
Absolutely.
To be able to transcribe that's a skill, yo. That's a skill, man.
Madness.
Oh yeah.
Madness.
So speaking
what's next? What we got?
Can I ask about Cold Vein to Tim?
Yeah.
Like, did you guys hear it just piecemeal, like a song at a time that he on like a tape that Vass gave you, or did you wait till like the album came out?
I heard it throughout the process.
Okay.
Same.
Yeah. How about you?
Yeah, no, I definitely heard it. Like anytime they come to the studio, they play me like one track, and then they play me another track, and then.
Was there anything that was totally demo different? Like the demo was totally different than the final, or everything kind of stayed on the same?
Stress Rap, there was a totally different version.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have that somewhere.
Same beat, but there were two different verses on it, if I remember right.
Yeah,
Okay.
that third verse was not there or different. I forget
Yes,
what it
yeah,
was.
something.
And the way they mixed it too, the way L mixed it, here's something. The
Oh,
way
Pigeon.
that beat originally sounds. Oh yeah, we can talk about that too.
Yeah.
The way that beat originally sounds, stress rap, it sounded like it was mixed in a way that more so resembled Lou TNS.
Oh,
That was
That
like
would
more
make
of a
sense,
straight. It was more of a straightforward kind of like, just a banger. You know what I mean? Like something you could picture playing in the whip and like riding out to, like more of a traditional kind of like almost like QB kind of style rap beat, right?
I love that shit.
But then he leveled out the various stems of it, the elements of it.
yeah. And now
That kick drum is really, really prevalent in the prominent in the final version, and that makes it kind of weirder. Like it doesn't have that same sort of like glue of the kick bass kind of like bang your head shit. Yeah,
That's L, yo.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
EQ,
Oh my
EQ
God,
listeners.
no,
you can change the whole identity.
changes
of
the
song.
whole
EQ
song.
that bitch.
Exactly.
Yep.
Change the whole song.
Starve
That's
in
dope.
Harlem.
Yeah, Iron Galaxy didn't have the intro at first. It just started with My Shell. It just started like that.
Yeah.
And had no cuts. I actually hate those cuts. To be
Well,
honest,
on the
DJ
releases,
Billy's?
there were two different cuts. So like on the single, if you listen to the scratches on the single, it's different than the album.
Yeah.
And it's all DJ abilities both times.
No, it's two different. I forget who did the cuts on the single.
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay. Right.
I forget.
Well, who did the final cut?
Was it Sip?
Sip?
Nah, it wasn't
I
Sip.
don't think it was Sips.
It
No.
definitely was not Sip. I could tell
No.
you from like hearing the cuts. Like Sip
Yeah.
was nice. Like
Yeah.
The way they were like mixed or something, I just like, yo, my man Tage
They
and I
are
would just look at each
a
other
little
like,
jarring. But I think
yeah.
for those that weren't in the know, we thought that was like on purpose.
Right.
You know what
Right,
I'm saying?
right,
like,
right.
Def Jux definitely in Alaska and Crip, y'all can attest to that. I know scratching, like, and this is what I would love about Def Jux specifically. Scratching was like important. The DJ was important. He wasn't necessarily just some background tambourine player. I remember that being a thing, and they would give equal time to DJs and the scratching parts of songs. I remember Def Jux was the first time to me hearing like somebody had a scratch verse, like the verse on a song was a DJ going off, and not just dub scratches, like scratching words and like really showing his skills. I appreciated that.
Yeah, Len was in like the whole cold flow thing that fled into then I guess the Def Jux sound or whatever. Like
Yes,
Len
sir.
definitely was an instrument.
Yes.
Yeah, Pigeon was like a little different. Didn't have a guitar, like didn't have that like high. Yeah, didn't have the guitar. It was a live bass though too, right? They loop the live basses.
Wow.
For that,
Actually, low key,
No.
I preferred the first version without the guitar.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
So me and Z got songs like that. Where it was like 4 versions ago. We liked the version. Too late.
And then it was just funny that like Metal Gear had got left off the album. I mean, it makes sense if you like listen to the album. I don't think Metal Gear would fit.
That also was Vordul for sure. I think
the Vordul change in the voice.
He wanted to leave that style behind, and it was weird.
Yeah, it still came out though. But
where did it come? What did it come out on?
A
seemed
single.
like it seemed like leaked out. I think because I know I was plugged in. The vinyl or whatever was after the fact. So there was more just and more so a leakage.
Oh my god!
Maybe on one of the tour CDs or something like that.
It came out on like officially. It came out on the Life's Ill or either Life's Ill or one of the compilations, like the second.
Where's
or third.
Life's Ill at on a full?
I thought that's a B-side of. Is that the B-side of F Word? No.
It's a B-side somewhere
the
along the way.
B-side of something. Yeah.
Oh, the song Life's Ill?
Yeah,
it's on the F Word. It's on the F Word single.
It's on
it
the
is
F
on the
Word.
F Word.
Okay.
Yep.
And that was like that was the.
It's
like,
got that. It's got the
rollout.
RJ remix, and it's got Life's
It wasn't
Ill.
on any longer project, compilation, or anything like that. It wasn't on any records.
I know where Metal Gear. It's on the F Word. The F Word EP. It was a CD version where they had.
Yes, that's what I have. I got the CD with the RJ remix.
Right.
Yeah, the instrumental.
And Life's Ill was on that. That's the same thing we're talking about.
And it came with the instrumental for that joint too. That's how me and you did the joint, Cash.
Yep, me and Z. Yeah,
that beat is hard.
It's a good song. Yeah, it is, man.
That shit is rugged.
What's next, last?
Well, let's take a break.
Let's do it.
And then we'll come back and we'll talk a little bit about Vordul's solo work. So the transition from Oxen to the solo career.
Ox.
No.
Yeah, this beat in the background here is brought to you by me, Zilla Rocca, of the Call Out Culture Podcast, Wrecking Crew, and all that good ish. This is off my first beat tape, entitled, imaginatively, Don't Drop a Beat Tape Zilla. It is available now on Bandcamp, $3pistol.com. It's 12 beats, it's $5. $5, 5 clans, 5 beans, 5 smackaroos, whatever. Several quarters, I can't count right now, I'm doing a commercial. Check it out on Bandcamp now. First Bandcamp beat tape I ever made. Don't drop a beat tape, Zilla. Get it now. Back to the show.
I hope you enjoyed that commercial for Rice-A-Roni, the San Francisco treat. So,
Shop Wow. And we also have a new product. We got a new sponsor. Last you don't know?
No, what we got?
This new rope company, and their motto is "My Shell, Mechanical Foul Ghost." And on the robe it says "My Ghetto is Animal Foul Toast." And they have it's metal plated robes. It's kind of clunky at first, but you get used to it. Medieval time. Okay. You get used to it. So it's flowing. Has movement.
Like Harrison Bergeron.
On the nose.
So why don't we talk a little bit about Vordul's solo efforts after Canox, because they're not really talked about all that much. It's not something I see people talking about. And there still was evolution going on there with his style, I think. Like what do you guys think about how he evolved from Canox into a solo artist?
I'll kick it off. The pocket was evolving because I saw very interesting beat selection. I wasn't always a fan of the beat selection, but I saw an effort to try to make songs on things people were not familiar with him with. Revolution of Young Havoc's production is a lot of different. He tried to go a lot of different places. He's still telling his stories, and but I feel like he's getting comfortable in the pocket that he created on Cold Vein. He's rapping a lot more with Billy Woods, so they just seemed like more like science of style. You know what I'm saying? We just gonna craft this stuff and say what we mean. That was my initial, because I like Revolution of Young Habits. I like Mega Graffiti a lot. And I think I copped both of them around the same time, even though I know they came out different times, but I was scooping both of them. And just seeing where he was going to go. There was a lot of potential with Canox, and, we had all lost, pop bubble dreams and stuff. So then when they went more solo, I still was always rooting for them. You know what I mean? And it's interesting. I don't know if anybody could attest to that. He didn't use much LP production after Cold, right? No, not really.
Not really at all. Did he?
No, I don't think Young Havoc.
Yeah, and we talked a little about Vast production, but no, but I mean, he was getting with some beatsmiths. I didn't always like the combos, but he definitely, I admired the effort. I like really what he was trying to do on each and every attempt. That's all I got.
Go ahead.
I thought it was oddly hopeful music in a weird way. He sort of took a bit more of an even more mature approach than I think he did in Canox with his lyrics. Like, a lot of the stuff in Canox was talking about what was going on around him. And I thought within, especially which one was it? The Young Havoc's EP. The Young Havoc's album. There was a lot of talking about the world as he wished it was. And seeing sort of the world outside of just himself more. I think if this album came out at a different time, it probably would have been a bigger record too. That was sort of when it came out to me, the time seemed to be really focusing on a lot of juke stuff. So people wanted a juke sound, a lot of rhymes.
What was the production? What was the production on Young Havoc?
I got this list up now. No. It's Dev 1, who I'm assuming is the dude Devin from Nature Sounds.
Yep.
Opto, Ruddy Rock, Soul Purpose, Belief, one Blockhead beat on the joint Struggles, which is really a strange song.
That song's amazing, actually.
It's that joint is I wish kind of Blockhead just handled the whole record. And that's really it. But my favorite joint is Stay Up. To me, that carries on the Canox. that carries on like whole vein to me, like the whole feel of it.
Knowing there's no cess without struggle. Trying to remain focused and stay humble. Strain, really gotta clear the head. Hard times, puffing the regs, thinking what's best. Situations getting deeper inside, battling myself. Ways and time weighing on the mind. Sometimes it takes a lot just to write. Watching long days turn to cold nights. Still everything's alright. Trying to quit and begin hard decisions. Living with low digits, with no stash. Have a kid go mad, but I know times will get better. Moving so fast, feeling like we on the clock. Trying to get cash, spit at cats for the blocks we lived on. Till we get on, got stressed.
I mean, I think if this album came out like in 2014 or 2015, people would be fucking going nuts for it. The way that they go nuts for like Rock Marciano, or they go nuts for Griselda.
We talk
like,
about
I think
that a lot.
the sort of content in there is on that level, and it's on par with that.
Oh yeah,
I agree with you on that, Alaska. That's a good pull. Good pull. Especially just just curators, collectors, and willing to listen to that message and hear that sound.
Like I would love for someone to get his vocals and just like one producer, like
Cryptic.
Yeah, like whoever that would be, whether it's Cryptic or Block or whoever. Like somebody needs.
And it would be co-starring because you would be just as much a star. But
it's not like I haven't tried. Like
salute to you, my man. Salute. Hell yeah.
Yeah. There was a project in the works. It just didn't happen, and we'll leave it at that. But as far as his solo works go, like I think he was a little cursed by the Canox album. Like everyone kind of expected just that over and over again. And to be 100%, like I kind of wanted that. Like I wanted a second Ox album. I wish I didn't do solo albums back then. I told them as much.
Oh, totally.
So, but I also understood the fact that they needed to kind of like get under from that umbrella of, because back then that's when press mattered, and press always made it seem like LP discovered this and created this group.
Yeah, they definitely gave him a lot of credit.
And I think, I mean, granted, L is like a third member of Cannibal Locks to me. Like without the soundscape, that record doesn't exist. But like, I think that had to weigh on both of them like heavily. Like so I understand the departure from that as like, we don't want beats that sound like this. We don't want to rhyme about the exact same way, the same stuff. So I get it. But me as someone who knew them and as a fan, I just wanted them to make Ox Cold Vein too, like just keep making that record over and over again.
Like imagine them over like Fantastic Damage, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or the promise, or the promise of Live from the Planet E. They
one
could
of the
flesh
best
that out
Ox
to
songs ever.
It's not finished,
wild.
right? And because it's cut off, that's what's so salivating. Because L cut it off. And I know there's bars. I know there's more bars, but I know it.
Creation of slums, flipping over bass and drums, visualizing ourselves faith to come from the helms where we dwell, watching our peers going by the ways of guns, scorned on the earth for rocks and metal, waiting for the heat to settle, rise and bubble, young minds in trouble, the grind is hustle, take time and learn, as the earth spins and the world turns, we be spinning herbs, spin words, disturbed by vicious curves, they eat men alive, still we strive, being wise to keep their hand and straight from ultimate demise off blocks of molten lava problems. Got brothers promoting drama, provoking violence, go against ours and facing death of 1,000 slaves in the land of brave. From a pain cave, spin cannibal blades.
To be honest, like I just maybe like last year or two, maybe started to revisit or just like took on the task of going through the solo stuff as it was released, because during Cold Vein, he already had started making solo tracks that did not sound at all. Like by the end, by Scream Phoenix, like I know I had a tape somewhere with the instrumental to Scream Phoenix and like Real Earth and like I said, a few other joints like that, like the later joints. And there were 3 solo Vordul tracks on there, one being Megala Graffiti. So Megala Graffiti coming out in 2008 on his like 3rd solo release, I believe. That's how it's credited on Discogs. That's like literally like his like the first solo song that he presented to, at least to me. And then there were 2 other joints. And then he did a joint with, I remember we went to, I tagged along. It was, I don't know, Alaska, if you were there, but I know Cryptic was there. We were forcing you to listen to Cameron in the truck. We went to Wheaton College, and this was off of Ox. They wanted Ox to play, and it was us and Sip, and we scooped up. I came into the spot where we were meeting downtown to get into the van, and like he's playing a song with Don Pacino from Killer Army. And that was like the 4th
PR terrorist.
Yeah, PR terrorist, right? So that was the 4th solo track that I had heard in that time. You know what I mean? So that was like, I mean, we rhymed over "Hold the Floor" on stage.
Okay.
Wow.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So that was that was, I believe, pretty new by that point. You know what I mean? Like it was live for like the people who knew what the fuck that was. You know what I'm saying? So
when did Hold the Floor come out? Like 2003, 04? Like
nah, it couldn't have been. This had to have been
earlier.
02? 03.
Wow.
Early.
That's incredible, yo.
I don't even remember.
But Hold the Floor always just rock. I watched a couple of live performances doing research for this joint. And I did see y'all rapping over the beat. It wasn't that particular show you were talking about, gang. But like, burn, I could just imagine the energy.
That's what happened.
And who produced that?
DJ Prism, rest in peace.
Prism, right? Yeah. Peace. Wow.
Yeah, that was an anthem.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, basically, I mean, also, I know the timestamp actually. That Usher joint, you don't have to know. Okay, girl. I don't be up now tonight. That shit was new, and we were all in the truck being like, "Yo, this shit is kind of crazy. Like this shit is ill." and there was a Dipset freestyle that DJ Enough had, because Enough was on the radio. DJ Enough was playing, and it was them going over Jay's the Isaac Hayes sample off of Reasonable Doubt.
Can I Live?
Can I Live?
Can
right.
I live? Oh
and
God.
It's a joint where like Cam is like he says some shit. He's like, he says absolute nonsense like in a spoken word kind of like mockery in the beginning of it, like in the intro, and then he says son, yo Cam, you shot a movie? That's not important, dog. I shot a Uzi. And then, like, I just remember Cryptic looking at Cryptic, and Cryptic just busted out laughing.
It's not
like,
important, dog.
This
I
shit is
shot
kind
it.
of
I love Cam.
Yo, we busted. We were like in stitches. That shit was.
I
Like, that shit
so-
was amazing.
When we do Lineage of Greatness, Cameron, we're bringing you guys on. And
absolutely. Yo,
Look,
please.
To be real,
That's gonna hang himself.
I hated Cameron until that point, and then
Right.
something clicked
And
in my
then it
head,
clicked.
and then I went back and listened to everything, and I was like, "Oh, that's what these motherfuckers been talking
I
about."
will always
for
tell
years.
this to people. Cameron would forget even the Dipset heavy stuff. Horse and Carriage is lost in the mist because that was such a great record, but he wore the leather overall and that sparks behind him, and you don't know
What,
there's so many
Confessions
good
of Fire?
songs. Yes,
Yeah,
there's
wait,
so many good songs on there.
Wait, before we can't. Yeah, let's not even get into that.
Yeah,
No, we need to do the
let's get back to Vordul.
The other Harlemite, you know what I mean? But that was the thing though. Like Shamar and I, like Vordul and I, used to like talk. Like I remember when he was just at his rest for a bit. You know what I'm saying? He was recouping from some things, and like I was at his crib and I brought over SDE, like Cam's second album, and like we just you know, that's keyboard beats.
Let
like,
me know.
Yeah.
Let me know.
We went.
And the fucking what mean the world to you? Wow.
Yeah, I mean, and he was just like, "Thank you," like, you know what I'm saying? It was like we would just geek over this shit, and like, a lot of people at the time hated. Like,
it's always a grand moment when you kind of get over yourself, you know, with the indie and the mainstream and the glossy, and you start appreciating some music you might just miss because you were so stringent in your mission and how you walk that walk. I walk these streets, but then when you let go and listen to some of that shit, it's really rewarding.
Right. No, absolutely. And like, I feel like, I mean, it went from like Ghost Ray, Prodigy and all that, like the most kind of celebrated and legendary, you know, that Mount Rushmore of like, you know, 90s linguists, to like BG and like Cam and J, like Volume 3 J, as Alaska's, you know, said in past episodes and whatnot. And like, I feel like Vordul would, like, where most would like completely negate these folks off of like whatever they perceive to be a general principle, he found a gem in all these rappers as wordsmiths. Like, he would find like the most, like, almost like the most corny, like perceivably corny shit that would play on like Rap City. He'd be like, nah, like, kid got something. And I'd be like, all right. And I guess all that to say is like, I don't know, actually, you know, to be honest, I don't know how that relates to his solo shit, but like, he was a story. I did notice upon, just to cut back to that, what I did notice upon hearing his solo shit, like, he definitely got more comfortable with the idea of just telling stories. Like, he tells story. Like, I feel like every verse he's telling a story. He's like you said, Crip. Like, he's so far away from that escapism, you know, abstraction realm that, you know, we first met him in, and he even, you know, may have had little hints of during Cold Vein, but, you know, completely shed all that by the time, you know, by those solo records. Yeah, I don't know. He's definitely doing like word stretching. You know, he definitely has his like favorite words, but it somehow still sounds like intriguing when he's putting them together. Like, his phrasing is still like, it's just how he lands it. I don't know. It's like that. It goes back to like the emphatic, like the emphasis he just places on like how he lands all the words, and that New York, just crazy Harlem energy he has. Like, I mean, that's something that he's never gonna, you know, he's never gonna like be able to shed. You know what I mean? So I feel like that's why also a lot of folks couldn't get with, you know, didn't understand it, didn't get it the first time around, like when they first heard Ox or whatever. Like, a lot of the folks who weren't from New York gravitated toward the more, you know, the wide puncher, like the Haymaker Cat, you know what I'm saying, or whatever, where, you know, you had to kind of like understand, like, there was so much nuance to like Vordul, you know what I mean, like just the uptown shit, just like phone conversations you'd have with him, like that shit was like clear as day to us, but, you know, to other folks, and he still has that. Like, that's one thing, he still has that, whether technically he's changed for better, for worse, or whatever, however you perceive it. You know, yeah, production is what has always fucked me up, but Megalo Graffiti is that shit though. There's definitely some joints, and Megalo Graffiti is definitely like, I advise folks who are listening right now to take a listen. It's off the 2008 release. I think it's Mega Graffiti, right?
Mega Graffiti is the record,
yeah. It's the last song. It's like the closer.
Yeah.
And it's a video. As a matter of fact, there's a video for it. Go on YouTube and watch the video. It's actually really good.
Yeah. Right. Cool. So why don't we take our last break and then get into our favorite joints and wrap this motherfucker up, because we are quickly approaching the 2-hour mark.
On that shit late, man.
How do we do that?
That was 2 hours? Are you serious?
Yeah, I mean, it's very...
When the alien mimics invade, Small Pro is just one of many recruits shoved into a suit of battle armor called a jacket and sent out to kill. Small Pro dies in the battlefield, only to be reborn each morning to fight and die again and again. On his 158th iteration, he gets a message from a mysterious ally, the neighborhood rebel known as Curly Castro. Is he the key to Small Pro's escape or his final death? Blue Edwards, y'all. Small Pro, call it Castro. You know what it is. Record. One.
All right, everyone, we're back. Let's take this motherfucker home. Favorite verses. I'm going to go in alphabetical order. That starts with
Alaska.
I guess I'm just looking at our names now, but I have my government name up there. So, but yeah, I'll go first. That's fine. So I'm going to take my verse from Not for Promotional Use, and it's just basically like, to me, this verse was important in Vordul's trajectory because we started talking about how he went from like strictly comic book and sci-fi to incorporating real world shit into it. And this is one of those first verses where I really remember him doing shit. Like I remember like listening to him kick this at your place, Crip, in the studio and just being like, he's in a new level right now. Like he just leveled up with this verse and there's like new things that are happening that never happened before. Right. So, you know, it's basically like time to let these beautiful Japanimated archangel wings spring from the back plate for chosen aviation. Vordul keeps it tight, similar to proletarian living situation. You're living in a situation and trigger freeze. I live life when the drum's on, so come on, brother, please. I catch bullets in my teeth while I spit lasers. Detective gear you wear is obsolete. These words still graze you. My poetic bars are held within the arms of robotic palms, waiting to set it off. Vietnam, what I mean.
While apathetic nerds spit destruction theory, I join only to coin my invention of Marilyn Manson cancer, spread it 12 monkey perspective. Now everybody fears me. There be those that walk as MC, incorporating hooks with horrible R&B singers. I reply with dirty body mechanic language, showing my tallest finger. Cause I chose to write and hold the mind connected to psyche. Dangerous, like government prototype, missile launching cannon in the hands of starving happy Harlem Mikey. Shit.
Damn. I gotta rewrite some of my shit.
Yo,
wow.
For real.
Yeah, I think that also might have been one of the first mentions of Starving Happy Harlem Mikey as well.
That was the first, I believe.
Yeah.
That's also where the I ain't superstitious.
Yeah,
that's where that came from.
Yeah.
I ain't superstitious. Right. Vietnam, what I mean. That shit.
That was great.
Oh my god.
We still going alphabetical. So next you.
Yeah, Crip is next.
Crip. Oh shit.
Oh, Crip.
Yeah. R before you.
Oh, word. Yeah. So mine is from a song "Let Me At 'Em" that was kind of never finished, but we released it anyway on Archives. This also it's that world between Cold Vein and his sci-fi world where he was kind of mixing the two. So it goes, I play broken bow and arrow theory that clearly leaves my flown sparrow psyche as broken down robotic dirty logic cloak worn tightly. I represent thorn protrusion through societal roads, and our roads as I suppose I'm distorted slightly.
I evolved from that, with an arrow spitting cat to advanced barbarian, throwing broken portable dats. 1,000 MCs against me, battle gears only fair when I multiple man clap. Standing complicated magneto, wild metal things, singers pull metal that only attracts. My wicked bizarro complexo reflected, leaving buildings that slant when psyche tilts. While I touch mic like little boy tabloids built, spitting perfectly woven writtens that cover my naked body foundation like dashiki rhythms. Vordul beater, lyrical cheater, stay low in the grass while you pass with obvious giraffe punchline system. See, going against me is going against the turbulence of computerized complexity.
Vordul remains what is known as technology sexy. So now,
I want my sex technology to plug in. That's
exactly.
That's where you fast got that from, exactly.
That whole internal rhyme scheme, he's rhyming things like 8 bars apart at the end with like 10 internal rhyme schemes. That shit is the shit that blows my mind with what Vordul was doing back then.
Yeah.
Bringing it back around. Damn. I definitely got to rewrite some of my shit. All right. I'm calling the audible and shit. Everybody in there, we kind of discussed what our favorite verse is. Audible!
Uh-oh.
My favorite verse is Battle of Asgard.
Yo, for obvious fucking reasons.
And you know, we might have used some of this for a hook. I'm not gonna tell y'all where. We might have. But it kicks like Mega with his arms folded, fists balled up, toast on the side of my waist, V on the buckle and belt, rapid hell, cape flowing, still standing with two cannons.
132 got me vanished. Ninja in the night with the phantoms. Amped to set off operas. C-rays blast from the optics. Living in fucked up ghetto economics. Spit from the voice box. Nasty with sonics. Animals released out of boxes. Plus we got that stronghold on the throat that'll leave you all gone on the float. Split belly cause you off the boat.
Nice.
That was a short one from him, but I really the way he just kept just mashing was just crazy. That's one of my favorites.
Emphasis. The emphasis.
Yeah,
yo. That shit. Also, well, yeah. So like, it's me next, right? G.
Yeah. Yes,
yeah. Okay, that's how the alphabet works. There's so the timeline is crazy too, because it went from not for promotional use was done after, I believe was done after Let Me At 'Em. No?
Not for Promo was the first song I ever recorded with Vordul. To be real.
Wait, say again?
That was the first song I ever recorded with Vordul.
That was a promo?
Yeah. No. Not for promos. I was there for Not for Promo.
That was
that's mad late.
The first song that was released that I recorded with him.
There you go. That
right.
Yeah,
but I'm saying in recording time, Let Me At 'Em was done, or like Let Me At 'Em was done maybe like the first time I was there with all of them.
Okay, maybe.
And like
I wasn't there for the recording of the original recording of that. I tacked my verse on later. That was at
interesting.
Ian's house. Yeah.
Oh, word. That's right. Okay, yeah. I remember we heard the writing session for Let Me At 'Em happened before Not for Promo was recorded. Let me just say that, because that was at your crib.
Right.
And Trainer Tyson, like the Trainer brothers, I don't know if all three of them were there, but that's where I met Tyson, the youngest one. Okay. T3 of I don't know what his label was called. Mondrian Sound. That's what it was.
Right.
It's weird. Okay, so it went. This is even older than all that shit. Basically, this is from a song. This is from a group. Saga. Actually, no. This is pre-Saga Tetsuo. Ooh. It was. Yeah. That was a. I wish that shit. Come on. This was a group called Proletariat Imperative, and it was Alaska and Vordul, and the song is called Sperm Sample. I believe. I don't know. That's how I had it on tape.
I think it was Sacred Sperm Sample was the full
Sacred Sperm Sample.
I thought it was a small. I thought it was a small sample of sperm. Yeah,
that's how.
I think it did eventually. Yeah, you might be right. I know the working title was Sacred Sperm Sample.
Okay.
And then it turned to a small sample of sperm.
Wow.
Yo, Z, this is harkening back to RZA's first couple of song rhymes.
Yep.
This is what he's following the school of RZA. Talk about sexual chemicals.
Oh yeah.
Put inside the egg ovary.
I went into a fallopian,
fallopian tubes. Yeah.
I mean, there is some graphic warning. There is some of that in this. So
graphic warning. I love
it. It goes. The obvious location of an isolated fetal capsule. Computer graphically impregnate digital implant oxygenated situation with an oxygen tent over the vaginal. Industrial Capcom headphones inserted with government-made concoction touched with metallic sperm sleeve. Cryogenetic experiments, crossbreeding collective semen to create the perfect future, sick, microscopic, psychotic disease.
A mutated, technological germ infested, tapeworm infesto screams, Miss Saigon. A lonely soul cherishes stolen sleep visions torn from the scroll of an icon. Three-dimensional dead corpse walk in a city of lost children while scientists become drowning victims in an amniotic fluid pool. Trying to locate my sexually oriented preference, dream micro. Artificial
Artificial intelligence leaves you advanced barbarians rocking my sacred laser quilted cloaks of Tron. But mothers, cuddly muppets, grow up to become grotesque Marilyn Manson hand puppet gods. They must have been crazy to invent me. The Pinocchio troll midget master equipped with prosthetic stilts and tilt to break the legs off of pedestals industries built. These protective gloves keep me from becoming you, but only better. While secrets of the pale horse remain hidden, written on the opposite side of Scarlet's letter. Psychosis, schizophrenia of government scrutiny, protected with code 9 diplomatic immunity. Begins my futuristic apathetic mutiny, while these pathetic mutants be quickly ripping metallic archangel wings off their backs to become human, consuming the thought of fitting into society. A fat sickness trying to slip into the cracks of insanity. Trapped between igneous and a hard cylindrical sperm spitter, but audio transmitters are hidden within communication devices, causing access for them to tap in to cross conversation on phones. Sending patriotic Harrison Fords after these pathetic replicated computerized clones. A system I create to penetrate the process of elimination and insurrect against society's substantial limitations. For duplication, posits funded for self-inflicted imitations. In stolen tissue samples of my biosynthetic flesh is sold for 2,000 energons. A large profit of economics from the genetically enhanced Tickle Me Vordul dog.
Yeah, I heard this, and this was the first thing I ever heard him. Like, this is the first time I ever heard this cat.
That's incredible.
Wow.
First
Vordul
impression.
And also just for the record or whatever, Vordul the Immortal Portal Closer
was his original name.
His original name, yeah.
And Vordul is a combination of vortex and portal.
Oh, wow.
Just so you have that. Just so like this is archived.
I was wondering. I was like, we've been on the phone for 2.5 hours. How we find out the origin of this dude's name?
Where did Megala come from? That was just after when they were just making
That was much later,
after.
yeah.
Yeah, that was much later, yeah.
That shit is hard, man. All right, it's my verse. Here we go.
Yeah.
So I was gonna pick "Think Differently" off the Wu-Tang meets Indie Culture joint, but like, I mean that shit is hard. But I like it only because I remember watching Castro's face talking about it one time where you're like this, you're like folding your arms, scrunching. But like when I go back and read the rhyme, I'm like, he kind of gets bodied by fucking Rock Marcy and Casual. Like he's not the hardest dude on the song. It's a hard song though. Like it's Rock Marcy trying to like chomp at the bit, get back in the game with Casual and Tragedy Gaddafi, and Vordul goes last, but he doesn't like he spits a Vordul rhyme, but these dudes are like hungry as fuck at the moment.
Right.
So I'm not gonna do that. I'm just gonna go Scream Phoenix, man. Like that was the shit when we made the Canox episode. And we were talking about that album, and I would just go back and just keep replaying this rhyme. Like that was the one I kept going back to all day. Where he's like, mega lost star seen over your far, the physical and more chosen. My craft is bars.
I have my distribution.
Scars in the heightness. Rap live, graph artists and ghetto writers united. Starving with one table and no mic, and still get it on bombing and flow nice. Spit vomit and throw dice, taking chances in life, trying to get by. Stop all the time getting high, got a clear mind and stay focused. Avoid serpents and worship life. Be like merchants, street peasants with these lessons. Live, build, and pass away and keep stressing. Thinking how we gonna master days with passion. That's why we rap this way from Manhattan. 115 to 135, we pigeons became Phoenix with open minds to open yours. Flow the raw, innovative Phoenix.
Like it's same thing. He doesn't even end that shit right. You know what I mean? It's just like it catches everything about him that's ill. Where he does like the 3 or 4 syllable count on that record, and he says like we pigeons became Phoenix with open minds. Like that shit is like when you guys said like to him or to both of them, Scream Phoenix like the sequel to Pigeon. There it is, right there. We pigeons became Phoenix with open minds. Like that shit is. I love that shit from him. Like I love that
gorgeous.
Song. That beat is fucking crazy with that gospel shit. And then the album with that, you know, like that's
Perfect ending.
But him setting it off and like Vast doesn't even like see Vast has with the birds of the same feather flock together, that whole shit he does.
Yeah.
But like to me, the song could just end with Vordul. Like I don't even.
Please, yeah.
Yeah, I thought that. I thought that. No disrespect to Vast on that one, but I agree with that. I remember it could have just.
Yeah, it could have ended with the hook. You know what I mean? Like hey Zeus on the crucifix, and it's kind of like how Arm & Hammer will have like just solo. Elusive songs or solo woods joints.
Root Farm, Eucharist.
Like back then you weren't getting group albums with one guy just getting one song. Like
they're getting busy. Yeah,
like that wasn't really the formula, but like this should have been a Vordul solo joint. Like as Vast is just like Vast should not be bat and clean up. You know what I mean? Like he doesn't really add much beyond like. He's got a couple lines, but like this is all mega, like man,
absolutely.
Mega large star seed only your fart. True. This motherfucker smashes that shit. I'm like, yo, he has like a certain like don't fuck with me attitude when he's on this shit. You know what I mean? Like,
hell yeah.
Like whereas Vast is kind of like dancing and being cute. And again, I back then I was like in love with Vast, but like he's too cute on that beat. He's trying to be like. Too clever and slick, and that beat is not like the album closer. Right. Like it's not about you being slick anymore. It's you, like putting that fucking flag in the ground, being like, "Yo, we're here. We survived all that shit from pigeons and swimming in piss and all that shit. Like now we live on." To me, that's Mega's song, like forever. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so,
he paves like he starts laying down bricks of hope. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We've been through all that hell shit. Now we survive. Now what? Now we scream Phoenix. Like it's not about it's not about being funny or weird. It's like yo, this is real grown up shit now. Like that shit became Phoenix with open minds. Come on,
gospel. That's the gospel. Oh yeah,
man, that shit is fire.
Vordul Mega.
Yep.
God bless him.
Lineage of greatness.
Shit.
So I guess that's it, huh?
That's it, fellas.
Right, wrap that up. Saying, we want our listeners out there. If you're trapped, scream Phoenix. Find a pigeon. You can't ride a pigeon out the hood. You could just follow it. It's gonna fly away when you get close. And then, then that's the Bible of Vordul Mega.
Yeah.
Feel trapped, scream Phoenix, and follow a pigeon.
Avoid serpents and worship life. We love street.
Yeah, that was the perfect Zilla. Like that was the perfect way to end the fucking.
Thanks, man.
I'm just clapping my hands for you, my friend. That was well done. That's a note to go out on. Shit.
Thanks.
Hell yeah.
But
we'll call out Coach. Anybody got anything they wanted to shout out? Let the listeners know anything they got going on.
Hell yeah.
Before we get out of here.
Gang.
Yeah. Can we all? I don't know. I don't want to like stress them out too crazy, but like we need to find out if there's another Bandcamp day happening because I feel like they said that there was going to be one every Friday for every month. At least
they put out an extended schedule, but I looked at my email. I can't find it. Like the next couple of months. I can't find it.
It disappeared.
I think it disappeared. I did get an email that had a couple of dates, but maybe to be honest, I don't know if they gave us date past July. I think we got that email like maybe in May or April or something.
Right.
Yeah, the April announcement was July 3rd was the last one.
For sure. For sure.
Okay.
All right. So all that to say is, the last Bandcamp day was another glorious. That shit is the best. That's what we. That's what people need. Like if you're putting out music or whatever, like that's definitely a day you can eat.
Yeah.
And sell like old and new shit. So on last Bandcamp day, I put out this first single to a record that's coming out hopefully in August. We're just finishing up the last like 2 joints, and I'm finishing the mixing and mastering hopefully next week. This is cat Amani, Amani, from Brooklyn. Young cat.
Word.
And your son was born in I made a 1996 reference, and he was like, I was Did he say he was either born in 1996 or he like was born in 97? He's like, I wasn't even born then. I'm like, damn,
okay.
son. But I produced I produced most of it. I produced like 85. So it's like a Amani King Vision Ultra with additional producers. And Lucid's on there. We got Masai on there. We got Suede Jury. We got Akai Solo. These are all fam. Like, this is all fam. So like, if you're familiar with any of those names, then you should definitely do the math on everything else. So that's coming out. That's called the Unknown Infinite. And stupid. You know, I'm doing the artwork on that. So yeah.
Nice.
And then I put out this other joint that's coming to cassette. It's a homie from the Bronx, another young cat called his name is Bob Pace, B-A and then Pace, P-A-C-E. Crazy. Like, trust me, like if you want to hear like the new young guard or whatever you want to call it, like these cats, the two cats I mentioned, plus like all those heads in it, like, you know, they look at like Arm & Hammer as like their elders, you know what I'm saying? And like they're kind of continuing in that tradition or whatever. And like this one especially like gets like kind of ill, like psychedelic, like towards the end, but in a very like, yeah, just check that shit out. It's on PTP, purpletapepedigree.bandcamp. And I still got my new EP coming soon. It's a visual joint. And then yeah, some other shit, you know what I mean, in the works. But definitely I think for the listeners here, I think those two would fit the wheelhouse rather well.
Fuck it.
Hey.
What you got, Crip?
I am not promoting a damn thing. And the reason why is because I'm working on like 10 things and nothing is near completion, and I don't want to overpromise and underdeliver. So just follow me on social, Crip Uno, it everywhere, and you'll eventually see something.
Yeah. I mean, Adam's Family never has done that, made a history of doing that. So I think that's a good, tradition to keep going with.
That's exactly why I'm not doing it, because I finally, after 30 years of making music and promising shit that didn't happen, I'm finally learning my lesson. So I'm not promising anything. I literally have 8 projects nearing completion, but until they're done,
don't jinx it.
I'm not saying a word. So yeah, check me out on social media. Coming soon.
Indeed. Things.
Me and Alaska have updates.
Yeah.
Cargo Colts taking shape.
Yeah.
Cargo Colts.
We have a tentative release date.
Sick. What?
September 32nd is dropping, man. We're dropping that joint.
What is it?
September 32nd, man. We're dropping that shit.
September 32nd.
The Nihilist Millennial album. That is the title.
Yeah.
Oh God,
that's a real title. Nihilist Millennial.
Listeners, they've been going through a bunch of titles. I don't like.
We have had a lot. We've had about 30 fucking titles in the last year.
Yes, at least.
But I got to chop up. I got to figure, since my MIDI is broke, I got this sample for last. I got to figure out how to chop it up on my keyboard and send it to him. And then we re-record a joint, and then we keep moving. So there you go. And then we got the fucking Wrecking Crew. Yo, popular demand. We weren't even thinking about this shit. I'll be real. We weren't thinking about this, talking about this. People were like, yo, where's the fucking CD for Raheem's Lament? You gonna press it up? Is it coming out? Where can I buy it? What are you doing? Why isn't it on Spotify? I'm like, all right, sure. We'll do a fucking CD. So August 1st, tentatively, we're going to have the CDs up or pre-orders up, one or the other, because one of our main CD joints just went out of business in the middle of the fucking night. They packed up like the fucking, like the Baltimore Colts. Them shits were gone. One day they were just like, yo, it's gone. We out of here.
They took my money, though.
They took Castro.
They disappeared.
For the
number.
The Blue Edward shit?
Yeah, so the first Blue Edwards, I would have had the CDs by now. But the listeners know that. So what happened was I put an order through this company, and then the website went down, and that's the main portal. But the website on the page, it just said the website was under construction. It didn't tell you anything about them going out of business, anything. It said we'll be back shortly, and it listed like 4 emails for the different departments if you had questions or whatever, and a number. And so I was kind of just politely waiting for the website to come back up because I needed to load up the music. I had already loaded up the art and paid my down payment. Well, my full pay. Zilla was gonna load up the music for me, so we're just kind of waiting for the website to come back online or whatever. But and something I can't remember. I called Z and I told him what made me. Oh, this banging new Boldy James record he did with this cat Sterling Tolles. It's like Aboriginal Detroit. It came
the
early.
Detroit shit. Yeah,
it drops 20 to second, and I got the record already. We're not even past the first couple of weeks of this month, so it just made me think, let me call this number. I got this record 3 weeks early from this other company. Let me call this number and see what's going on with my CDs. Call the number. Thank you for supporting us over the years. We are out of bidders. Thank you very much. Goodbye. Click. Recorded message, and it just hangs up on number, nothing to call, no nothing. And they already got my money, so I had to reroute funds and order double the CDs I was gonna order, and I got those coming though. But so fear not.
There you go.
Everything
Blue Edwards on CD. Small
the
Pro.
Blue Edwards CD coming out. Yeah, that. So I got a bunch of pre-orders. They'll be out towards the end of this month. And then if you want to, I got more CDs. So cop a CD. We still got like a couple of shrapnel vinyl left at Backwards Studios. The website. It's like.
Yeah, you guys sold out on Bandcamp. That shit is gone.
The chat's still out there, digital. So we just moving. I'm working on my next solo. Can't stop, won't stop. Some of these people that's on this illustrious pod, they'll be making appearances. So just support the kid. We got the merch game kicking. We got the Blue Edwards T-shirt. Wonderful art done by Shane Ingersoll. So he gave me an original pencil sketch and we made that into a T-shirt. Check that out. We got record cool hats.
I'm wearing one.
Logo looked up by Kyle Tears. Check that out. 5-panel end snapbacks.
Wow.
Bringing back a different camo version of the Fidel hat. I'll have that. You can see that video comes. So it's record cool business all day. Join in. Don't get left behind.
There it
all
is.
out coach.
Yeah, I want to
biggest and best commercial.
I want to definitely send love your way, Wrecking Crew love, because that the Raheem's Lament and also the Blue Edwards project, I definitely I feel like I copped them both on the last Bandcamp day. If not, I was definitely like waiting on the next one to cop them. But like, those. But like, I listened to both of them that night. Like, and solid fucking work. Like, excellent work. Bro. Everyone killed that shit.
Thanks, man. Got a lot coming.
Yes.
I think that's all we got there, Alaska. You want to wrap us up?
Yeah. Check out Vordul.
All right, check out Vordul.
See you guys soon.
Check out Vordul Mega at the time. Call our culture.
Yep, we're out. Peace. Thanks, guys. Crypt gang, thanks for joining us.
Of course, thank you.
Yeah, thank y'all for joining our wacky little circus here. Listeners, go support them, support us, support the pod. We love y'all.
Peace.